For polygons to be similar, their angles must be congruent and their sides must be proportional. So if it's a polygon and I'm trying to figure out if they're similar, I'm going to first check to see if all the angles are the same. If all the angles are the same, we're good. Then I'm going to check to see, well, are the sides proportional? And if some of them are, but some of them aren't, then it's a no. Okay? But if all the sides are proportional, then it's a yes. Okay? When I say proportional, what I mean is checking that this side over here corresponds to this side and you divide it. And this side over here corresponds to this side and you divide it. And you find those fractions and you check to see if they're the same. Okay? So look at number 1. You start off by looking at the angles. I always look at the angles first just because with angles, I think it's easiest to check. So what kind of polygon is this?
Square.
These are rectangles. They're not squares because the sides are different sizes, but they're rectangles. And what do we know about the angles in rectangles?
They're right.
They're right. Every angle's a right angle, right?
Yes.
So are the angles the same?
Yes.
Yes, angles are the same. I'm going to put a check there. Now I'm going to check the sides. Okay, what side does 36 correspond to?
45.
45. What side does 18 correspond to?
25.
What about the other two sides that they did not give me?
They're the same as those.
I mean, it's the same as the 36 and the 45 and the 18 and 25, right?
Yeah.
Since those are rectangles. Okay, so you divide these, put them in the calculator, see what the decimal or fraction is that you get. See if you get the same thing or not.
Wait, we divide? Oh, I did the wrong thing. No. Still no.
When you put them in there, those two things do not equal each other. And so we know it's not similar. Even though the angles are the same, the sides were not proportional, so they're not similar. Questions about the first one? Okay, number 2. Let's start with the angles. Like I said, the angles, in my opinion, are easiest to check.
And they're all.
So I see that there's a 30, 60, 90 in the big triangle. There's a 30, 60, 90 in the small triangle. Are all the angles the same?
Yeah.
Yes. What if, like, one of the angles were missing? How would I find the other angle just to be sure?
Add up the angles that are there and just subtract.
So I could subtract them from 180 to find whatever's missing if I need to, right? Okay. Now we check the sides. Only tricky thing here is trying to match up what goes with each other. So I know that this side goes with the side up here, right? Because that's the straight side on the 90. It's across from the 60. I know the hypotenuse, the diagonal side, they go together. Okay, so how am I going to write these proportions? So 16 over 8. Let's do the yellow ones. 30 over 15. And now the blue-purple ones. 34 over 17. Now, it doesn't matter what order you do them in. Like, if you wanted to do 8 over 16 instead, that would be fine. But you have to be sure to do 15 over 30 and 17 over 34. So just make sure that whichever one you start with, that you start with that same one to do all of them.
Yeah,
You get 2 for all of them, right? So these are similar. This question says find the scale factor. I'm not asking you necessarily to do that every time, but the scale factor is what you get when you divide. So in this case, it would be 2 or 1/2 if you did it the other way. Okay? Any questions about number 2? All right, let's look at number 3. They didn't give me any angles on number 3, but can I tell if the angles are the same? Yeah, see, you can see the markings, how there's one mark there and one mark there, and then 2 up at the top and 3 at the bottom. So the markings are the same, so that means the angles are the same, so that's good. Now I need to check the sides. Okay, Well, what side corresponds with 10?
20.
20. What side corresponds with 7?
14.
And what side corresponds with 6?
12.
They're all the same. So it's also similar. If I had to write the scale factor, I'd say a half or 2 if you did it the other way. Any questions? Okay, last example. So we have some crazy figure here. It's a 4-sided figure. Looks similar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Start with the angles though. Remember, let's always start with angles. Are the angles the same? Yes. Did they tell me what the angles were?
No.
So I can't assume anything that they didn't tell me. I can't find any angles because they didn't even give me one of them. If they gave me one, maybe I could find some others. I don't know if the angles are the same. Because I don't know for sure, then we're going to say not similar. Now, they might be similar if they gave me more information. Really, it's just missing some important information. Okay? But because I don't know for sure, then I can't say that they're similar. Okay?